The worst part of waking up from a coma isn't the physical pain or the disorientation. It's the gut-wrenching realization that the nightmares you thought you were escaping are your new reality. I learned this lesson the hard way 3 years ago. The hospital ceiling was the first thing I saw. Stark white tiles dotted with tiny perforations I counted endlessly in those early days of consciousness. Then came the sounds, the rhythmic beep of machines, the soft squeak of nurses' sneakers on polished floors, the muffled voices just beyond my door. Each one was a reminder that I wasn't dreaming, that the fragmented memories, metal grinding against metal, glass splintering, my own desperate cries, were all too real. My name is Nathan. I was 26 when a drunk driver turned my Toyota Corolla into a twisted wreck on a rainy Tuesday night. I had just finished a long shift at the hospital where I was a resident. My medical career was soaring, top of my class, research prospects on the horizon, and a prestigious fellowship just months away. I remember pieces of that night, the shriek of tires, the deafening crunch of impact, the surreal weightlessness as my car tumbled down an embankment. In a strange, detached way, I thought, this is what dying feels like, as my body slammed against the seatbelt. The last thing I saw was the dashboard clock blinking 9:17 p.m. before darkness swallowed me whole. Then, nothing for 2 weeks. "Welcome back, kid," my dad's voice broke through first. He sat beside my hospital bed, impeccably dressed as always. "We've been so worried." My mom appeared on my other side, gently pressing a cup of water to my lips. "Take it slow, sweetheart. You've been out for nearly 2 weeks." The days that followed were a haze of doctors, tests, and crushing revelations. Multiple spinal fractures, severe nerve damage. Terms like partial paralysis and long-term rehabilitation haunted my hospital room like uninvited shadows. My career unraveled before my eyes as specialists came and went, their faces calm, but their eyes betraying the grim truth. A neurosurgeon with a gentle demeanor explained that 3 vertebrae had been shattered, compressing my spinal cord. An orthopedic surgeon outlined the 6 surgeries I'd endured while unconscious. A rehab specialist laid out a recovery timeline stretching not days or weeks, but years. I'd spent my adult life in hospitals, but never as the patient whose chart prompted hushed tones, whose prognosis made nurses linger a moment longer with a comforting touch. "The good news," Dr. Harper said, forcing a hopeful tone, "is that the driver's insurance is paying out a substantial settlement, $600,000 to cover your ongoing care and recovery." "Dad, hold my hand," I mumbled. "We've got everything under control, kid," he said, squeezing my hand. "Just focus on healing." I should have noticed the glint in his eyes when he spoke. My sister Tessa swept in a week later with her boyfriend Kyle and her usual larger-than-life energy. "Look who's finally awake," she boomed, making my head pound. "Man, Nate, you sure know how to steal the spotlight, huh?" "Tessa," Mom warned, but her voice lacked conviction. It never had any real weight when it came to my sister. "What? I'm just saying, it's kind of perfect timing. My new business is just kicking off and—" "Not now," Dad cut her off, but their shared glance held a meaning I couldn't decipher. My friend Leon, a lawyer I'd known since college, visited often. He broke down the settlement details in his calm, precise way. "You need to protect this money, Nate," he said one afternoon when we were alone. "It has to last." "Mom and Dad are managing it," I told him. "They've set up a trust or something." Leon's jaw tightened. "Let me add a safeguard to the paperwork, just to be safe." "Safe from what?" He didn't answer directly, just patted my hand. "Trust me on this." I didn't understand his concern then. I was too focused on learning to sit up without fainting, battling the electric jolts of nerve pain in my legs, and grappling with the reality that my medical dreams were likely over. My physical therapist, Lucas, became my anchor. Tall, athletic, with a constant 5 o'clock shadow, he blended relentless optimism with raw honesty. 3 times a week, he pushed me into the therapy room, ignoring my complaints and dark moods. He knew when to challenge me and when to ease off. During one brutal session when I was ready to give up, he knelt to meet my gaze. "I know it's hell," he said, his voice steady, "but pain means you're still in the fight. It means you're still here." He adjusted my stance, supporting my weight as my arms shook. "Your body's healing," he'd say, "but your spirit needs to heal too." It was the first time anyone acknowledged that the accident had shattered more than my spine. In another session, when I held my weight for 10 seconds longer than ever before, his face lit up with genuine pride. That's not luck or a miracle, he said. That's you, your grit, your fight. Those small wins became sacred, proof that recovery wasn't just a hollow promise to keep patients compliant. One evening, about a month after waking, Mom visited, wearing her work coat despite the warm weather. As she leaned in for an awkward hug around the monitors, a bank letter slipped from her pocket. I grabbed it when she wasn't looking. It referenced a disbursement adjustment to an account in Nevada. Odd, since we lived in Michigan and had no ties to Nevada. "Everything okay?" Mom asked, noticing my expression. I forced a smile. "Just tired. Hey, when can we look into those specialized therapy programs, Doctor? Harper mentioned." "Oh, well." Mom suddenly became engrossed in her phone. "Your dad's handling that. We need to be smart with the funds, you know. Invest them wisely." That night, I lay awake, the letter's words gnawing at me. Something felt off, but I couldn't connect the dots. I thought of Leon's vague warning, Dad's evasive answers about the settlement, and Tessa's sudden talk of a business venture. My phone buzzed with a text from her. "Great news! Just signed the lease on my new office. Dad says you'll be proud when you see what we've done with the investment." Investment. The word hit like a second crash. I stared at the ceiling, my hands clutching the stiff hospital blanket. They wouldn't, I thought. They couldn't. But deep down, I knew they had. Coming home was like stepping into a distorted version of my old life. The colonial house I grew up in, with its familiar creaky third step and the cherry tree I'd climbed as a kid, now felt like a warped stage set, everything slightly off from wheelchair height. The doorways were too narrow, the counters too high, the bathroom a labyrinth of unreachable fixtures. Dad had installed a cheap metal ramp over the front steps, the flimsiest model available, its sticker still visible underneath. It groaned and flexed under my wheelchair's weight, threatening to give way. My bedroom had been relocated to the first floor, into what used to be Mom's office. The room still carried the scent of her perfume and old law books, an odd contrast to the sterile hospital bed crammed into the corner. Family photos lined the walls, snapshots of vacations where I stood tall and strong, now feeling more like taunts than memories. "We did what we could with the modifications," Dad said, wheeling me inside. "The contractor wanted a fortune for those fancy grab bars and wider doors, but we found budget options. Budget options meant I could barely squeeze my wheelchair through the bathroom door, and reaching the sink was a daily struggle." "When can we do the full renovations?" I asked over dinner that first night. Dr. Harper had stressed that proper accessibility was critical for recovery. "Oh, son," Dad said, exchanging a look with Mom. "We have to be practical with costs. There's not enough left for all that high-end stuff." "Not enough left?" The words chilled me. "The settlement's being carefully managed," Mom said quickly, "for everyone's benefit." The next week, Tessa threw a lavish opening party for her new tech startup, something about cryptocurrency and influencer marketing. I couldn't follow her pitch, but I could trace the money. The event was held at her sleek downtown office, all glass walls and modern decor. A champagne tower sparkled in the corner, and waiters served gourmet appetizers. "Pretty amazing, huh?" Kyle said, sidling up to my wheelchair with a drink in hand. "Tessa says the family's support made this possible. Isn't it great how everyone's pitching in?" I managed a smile that felt like it might crack my face. "Yeah, great." During my next therapy session, I couldn't concentrate. Lucas noticed instantly. "Your head's somewhere else today," he said, steadying me during an exercise. "Want to talk?" It all poured out. The settlement, the mysterious transfers, Tessa's sudden wealth. Lucas's hand paused on my leg. "Nathan, you know you still have rights, don't you? That money was for your care." "I know," I whispered, "but what can I do? They're my family." "Family doesn't mean they own you," he said carefully, "and maybe you're stronger than you think." That night, I called Leon for the first time since leaving the hospital. "I was wondering when you'd reach out," he said. "How much have they taken?" "I don't know exactly, but Tessa's office alone must have cost—" "Send me everything you can find, bank records, transfer details, anything. And Nathan, remember that clause we added? It's still there, ready to go." Before I could ask what he meant, Dad burst into my room without knocking. "Tessa's got a surprise for everyone," he announced. "Come to the driveway." There, under the streetlights, sat a gleaming new Porsche. Tessa leaned against it, grinning like she'd won a prize. "Pretty sweet, right?" she called. "The business is taking off. This is just the start. I watched as Mom and Dad gushed over the car, their faces alight with pride. Kyle snapped photos for social media. No one noticed or cared that I had to maneuver my wheelchair awkwardly to see past them. Later, as they headed inside for celebratory drinks, I overheard Mom and Tessa by the garage. "The insurance payment cleared?" Tessa asked. "Yeah," Mom replied. "But we need to be cautious. Let's hope he doesn't figure it out." "Relax. He's not exactly in a position to do anything." I sat in the dark, my hands gripping my wheelchair's armrests until my knuckles ached. They thought I was powerless, a burden to be managed. That night, I texted Leon. "Tell me about this clause." His reply was instant. "Come to my office tomorrow. It's time you understood the fine print in your insurance policy." I decided to give them one chance to come clean. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe I was wrong. I wheeled into the living room where Dad was arranging flowers, always obsessed with appearances, and Mom was pretending to read the newspaper. The scene felt familiar, yet sharp-edged. Dad meticulously adjusted each bloom in the crystal vase he'd inherited from his mother, his movements deliberate. He'd always cared about how things looked to the outside world, the perfect lawn, the perfect family. Now, he was perfecting his flowers, while his son couldn't navigate half the house. Mom sat in her old leather armchair, her law school relic, her glasses low on her nose as she scanned the financial section. I noticed her subtly watching me over the paper, her fingers tightening on the edges. Neither looked at me directly as I positioned my wheelchair in the center of the rug, forcing their attention. "We need to talk about the settlement money," I said quietly. The newspaper rustled as Mom's grip tightened. Dad didn't turn. "What about it, kid?" His voice was syrupy, hiding a warning. "Where is it?" Dad finally faced me, his smile polished and rehearsed. "It's being invested, son, for the family's future." "My future," I corrected. "It was meant for my care." "And you're being cared for, aren't you?" He gestured around. "You've got a roof over your head, food on the table, and a bathroom I can barely use, no proper therapy equipment." "Those things cost a fortune," Mom interjected. "We had to make practical choices. Like buying Tessa a Porsche?" The room went still. Dad's smile wavered but held. "Your sister's business will benefit us all," he said. "The money will grow, and then we can afford those fancy upgrades you want." "When?" "Don't take that tone with your father," Mom snapped. I pulled out my phone, where I'd saved screenshots of everything. The settlement was deposited 4 months ago. Since then, there have been transfers to Nevada, payments to luxury car dealers, and $100,000 to T-Tech Ventures. Care to explain? Dad's smile vanished. "Have you been digging through our papers?" "They're my papers, my money. You ungrateful—" Dad stopped himself. "After everything we've done for you." "Done for me? You stole from me." "We didn't steal," Mom said sharply. "We invested in Tessa like always." As if on cue, Tessa appeared in the doorway, Kyle trailing behind. "What's all the yelling about?" she asked, though her smirk suggested she knew. "Your brother's being dramatic about money," Dad said. "Again?" Tessa rolled her eyes. "You should be thankful you've got a roof over your head. Do you know how much it costs to deal with you?" "Not as much as your car payments," I shot back. "That car's a business investment," she sneered. "Something you wouldn't get sitting around all day." "I sit around because I can't afford the therapy I need." "Oh, spare me the sob story," Tessa said, throwing up her hands. "You're lucky we didn't stick you in a home. Most families wouldn't deal with this burden." Dad didn't even reprimand her. He just stood there, fussing with his flowers. I pulled out my phone and started recording. "So, just to be clear, you all think it's fine to use my settlement money, meant for my medical care, to fund Tessa's business?" "We're not having this conversation," Mom said. "Why not? Afraid to say it out loud?" "The money's tied up in promising investments," Dad insisted. "Everything we've done is for this family's future." "My future matters too." "Your future's secure," Mom said. "You have us." I laughed, a bitter sound. "Yeah, I have you. Taking my money, treating me like a burden, and expecting gratitude for it." Later that night, I heard them arguing upstairs. I wheeled closer to the stairs, recording. "He's getting suspicious," Mom said. "We need to fix this before he uncovers everything." "Fix what?" Dad snapped. "We did what we had to. Tessa needed the capital, and he wasn't using the money anyway." "It was for his care. He has care. Basic care is enough. Tessa has real potential. She just needs support to succeed. I sent the recording to Leon instantly. His reply was swift. Perfect. Keep gathering evidence. The trap's almost set. I glanced at Mom's tablet, left carelessly on the coffee table. She'd always been terrible with passwords. 3 guesses later, I was in her email. There it was. A transfer receipt from my trust fund to Tessa's personal account. $200,000, labeled as a family investment. I forwarded it to Leon, then wheeled back to my room. Through the wall, I heard Tessa and Kyle laughing in the kitchen, probably planning their next getaway with my money. Just wait, I whispered to myself. Keep laughing, keep spending, keep thinking you've won. Because Leon was right. The trap was almost ready and they had no idea what was coming. You're pushing too hard, Lucas said during our next therapy session, though I could tell he was impressed. 3 sets yesterday? 4 today? I need them to think I'm getting weaker, I explained, grinding through another rep. The more helpless they think I am, the less they'll suspect. Lucas checked that the door was closed. Leon called me, asked if I'd testify about your limited therapy schedule and how it's affecting your recovery. Will you? He squeezed my shoulder. Every word will be true. At home, I played the part perfectly. I dropped things more often, asked for help with simple tasks, acted more dependent. Dad ate it up, fussing over me like I was a child. See, he told Mom one evening. He's fine with basic care. We made the right call. I recorded that too. Leon's office was my refuge. Housed in a converted Victorian downtown, it was a place where I felt human again. The building was truly accessible with a proper elevator, wide hallways, push-button doors, and a lowered reception desk. It screamed, "You belong here," unlike my own home. We met weekly, building our case meticulously. Leon's office was orderly, with law books along one wall and framed degrees on another. He had a knack for explaining legal complexities without talking down to me. When we first started gathering evidence, he'd cleared his afternoon, ordered lunch, and walked me through every step. Now, 3 weeks in, we had a solid plan. The clause is elegantly simple, he said, spreading documents across his desk. The sunlight caught the gold in his eyes as he adjusted his glasses, a habit from our college days. If misuse of settlement funds is proven, the court can seize any asset used as collateral in the trust agreement. He turned his computer screen toward me, highlighting the clause in yellow. I studied the words that would be my lifeline. And what asset was that? His smile was sharp. Your parents' house. They signed it over as collateral when they became trustees. Probably didn't even read the fine print. They never do, I said. They're too used to being in charge. Right on cue, my phone buzzed with a text from Dad. Tessa's hosting an investor meeting at the house tonight. Please stay in your room. We need to look good. I showed Leon the message. He started typing. Perfect timing, he said. Because Tessa's investors don't know her company's funded with stolen medical settlement money. One anonymous tip to the SEC and... Not yet, I said. We need one more piece. That night, I pretended to sleep through the investor meeting, but my phone recorded everything through the walls. The initial capital came from family support, Tessa said. We believe in investing in our own. Substantial investment, someone noted. Your family must really believe in you. Oh, they do, Tessa laughed. Let's just say we had a windfall and knew how to use it. The next morning, I emailed Leon. Do it. His reply was instant. Papers filed tomorrow. You sure you're ready? I looked at my reflection in the window. The son they thought they could rob, the brother they thought they could silence, the man they thought they'd broken. I'm ready. The bank liaison arrived at 9 a.m., his shoes clicking on the walkway. Dad opened the door, his host's smile in place. Mr. Boyd, I'm Andrew Torres from First National. I'm here for the property inspection. Dad's smile faltered. Property inspection? There's no appointment. It's standard before asset seizure, Andrew said, checking his tablet. Per the court filing this morning. Court filing? Dad's voice cracked. There's been a mistake. I wheeled into the foyer. No mistake, Dad. His face paled. Nathan, what have you done? I protected my future since you wouldn't. Mom emerged from her study. What's happening? Ma'am, Andrew said, I need to document the property's condition. The court has authorized an inspection for potential seizure under Trust Violation Clause 247. B-Mom's voice rose. What trust violation? The one you triggered when you stole my settlement money, I said calmly. Remember that paperwork you signed without reading? The house was collateral. Dad's perfect facade cracked. You can't do this. We're your parents. Parents don't steal from their disabled son. We didn't steal, Dad shouted. Tessa burst through the door. What's this about a court filing? My investors are panicking. Your brother, Dad spat, is trying to take our house. Not trying, I corrected. Taking, legally, just like you took my future. Tessa advanced on my wheelchair. You ungrateful little... I wouldn't, a new voice interrupted. My cousin Danielle stood in the doorway, blocking the light. Step away from him. This is family business, Tessa snapped. Danielle's smile was icy. Exactly why I'm here. Family. Dad switched tactics, his voice softening. Son, be reasonable. Think about what this will do to our reputation, to the family name. Should have thought of that before you drained my trust fund. We can fix this, Mom said desperately. We'll get a loan, replace the money. With what collateral? The house you already signed away? Or Tessa's Porsche? I pulled out my phone. Let's hear what you all think. I played the recording. Dad's voice. He wasn't using the money anyway. Mom's. We need to fix this before he finds out everything. Tessa's boast to her investors. Let's just say we had a windfall and knew how to use it. The room fell silent, except for Andrew's typing. You recorded us, Dad whispered. Learn from the best, Dad. Always keep evidence, right? You taught me that. You have 30 days, I said. The court will give you 30 days to vacate. You can't be serious. Tessa laughed, but her eyes betrayed fear. Where are we supposed to go? Maybe sell the Porsche? I hear your crypto investments aren't doing so hot. Dad sank onto the stairs, his perfect posture crumbling. Please, Nathan, be reasonable. We can work this out. Like you worked out spending my settlement, cutting my therapy, treating me like a burden? Mom stood there, looking frail. We thought we were doing the right thing. No, I said, wheeling toward my room. You thought I was too weak to fight back. That's a different thing. This isn't over, Tessa called after me. I stopped and turned. Actually, it is. Check your investor emails. The SEC's very interested in medical settlement money funding unauthorized ventures. The court order arrived on a Tuesday morning. 30 days, Mom confirmed, her voice hollow. They're giving us 30 days to vacate. Tessa stormed in, waving her phone. My accounts are frozen, all of them. What did you do? Me? I raised an eyebrow. I didn't do anything, but using stolen settlement money for business ventures is illegal. Who knew? Kyle left Tessa, taking some family jewelry with him. Dad's tear-streaked face, Mom's defeated posture, Tessa's helpless rage. They were the family who thought they could steal my future because I couldn't walk. They moved out quietly, the U-Haul rumbling to life in the driveway. Lucas wheeled me through the house, now equipped with proper ramps, wider doorways, and all the modifications that should have been there from the start. How does it feel? He asked. Like justice. The mail arrived as we settled in. Among the envelopes was a letter from a funeral home. My Uncle Marcus had passed, leaving me an inheritance with one condition: complete severance from Dad. What are you going to do? Lucas asked. I looked around my house. Truly mine now, designed for my needs, not their greed. The therapy room was ready, fully equipped. The accessible bathroom sparkled. Everything was as it should have been from the beginning. Later, my cousin helped Samuel, another wheelchair user, into my home for therapy. As he left down the properly graded ramp, Lucas appeared beside me. Ready for your session? Actually, I said, I'm ready for everything. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Saw your interview? I'm fighting my parents too. They think my disability means they can control my settlement. Can you help? The interview had been Leon's idea, a piece for a disability rights newsletter to share my story. You'll help people you've never met, he'd said. I hadn't expected the flood of messages from others facing similar battles, saying I'd given them courage, shown them they weren't alone. My pain had become someone else's strength. I looked at what I'd built from betrayal's ashes, not just a home with proper ramps and accessible bathrooms, but a purpose. The paperwork for the Nathan Boyd Advocacy Fund sat on my desk, ready to file. Uncle Marcus's inheritance would fund it, offering legal support to disabled people fighting for control of their settlements and lives. Lucas had agreed to partner, providing affordable therapy in the house's converted wing. Leon was recruiting disability rights attorneys for pro bono cases. Even Danielle had found her calling, training as a patient advocate after witnessing my struggle. I thought of Mom's recent text, a hesitant request to meet for coffee, and Dad's enrollment in therapy. Tessa's new entry-level job and tiny apartment. They were learning a hard truth. Actions have consequences, people aren't possessions, and disability doesn't mean weakness. Thank you for watching my story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and press the bell icon. Stay tuned for more real-life stories, get more experiences.